Hello everyone, this is Tip Top Gaming here today with another MTG Arena video. Now in today's video, I'm going to be playing the Brawl event, and I'll be playing a Feather deck. Now what I'm going to do that's different from most of my gameplay videos is I'm going to break down my commander and the strategy behind the deck before you actually get to see it. Alrighty, so my commander is Feather. Feather allows you to basically cast spells that target your creature and just get them back to your hand at your end step. That's super powerful. So this entire deck is Feather, who of course is the commander, so I can cast him every game, a bunch of boost spells, and creatures that benefit from being targeted, or creatures with first strike/double strike. Another thing to note is a lot of white does not have a lot of card draw, neither does red. However, a lot of white spells boost a creature slightly and then draw you a card. Now that drawn card is supposed to replace the card you just cast. However, if you're getting that card back, you end up with a net gain. So you will also see a couple of cantrips in here as well. Alrighty, on to the gameplay. Alrighty guys, so here is the first gameplay where I am playing a Feather deck, as I just explained, and my opponent is playing a Vraska deck. Very interesting. So I start off with a fairly good hand. We have Krenko as an alternate win con, a removal spell, and 2 things of boost, one of which is lifelink. Now, another thing, by the way, when I mentioned the Brawl update, I explained Brawl, and one thing I forgot to mention is that you do get 25 life instead of 20, and that can be a big deal. Alright, now let me talk about the gameplay. Now, he played a 1/1, which is terrifying because every creature must block it, and so I couldn't allow that to happen, so I used my removal on it, which kind of stinks to use that spell, which can pretty much remove anything on a 1/1, but either way, that's what happened. Then he plays Vraska, which literally his commander can just murder my commander, but I'm able to bounce him back to my hand, and since it's an instant or sorcery, that gets bounced back to my hand as well, so I can keep bouncing him. Now, I don't leave the mana open, and he dies, so now he costs 2 more to cast. I do get that, and I leave 1 open to bounce him back to my hand, need be. He plays a 5/5, which is a lot, but I have no way of removing it. So instead what I do is I play Krenko to get another win con out on the field and to split their attention away from Feather. And then my deck is all about boost spells. So then I do this, and I hit him for 5, which also heals me for 5. And as you can see, the card that I just went is back in my hand. So this is a really fun deck to play. Now I do get a double striker, which is really powerful, but instead what I decide to do is I attack with everything. And then I boost Krenko, because when this effect happens, I get a Goblin for his power. And so now he's a 6/6 lifelinker, and I just got 6 Goblins. Now, what I do is I bounce Krenko back to hand so he doesn't die. Now, I don't get to gain the life, but I also don't lose Krenko, which can be a big deal. I also have Samut Sprint in my hand, which does give my creatures haste. So he returns this annoying thing to the battlefield, luckily tapped. And it's really obnoxious. So what do? Well, I Lava Quit, which exiles it, so he can't just keep bringing it back, and I swing with everything. Then what I do is I simply cast a boost spell, and, well, I don't. He concedes. Now, that's pretty much how the deck wants to work, and obviously I think I would have won that game there, but it basically just wants to keep boosting creatures using Feather. So why don't we hop into the second game? So in this game, I actually don't have the white mana to cast Feather. Wow, voice crack. And my opponent is playing a mill deck, which I guess I don't really have any advantage against mill. Some of my decks do have advantages against mill, so actually I just lied. I looked at his commander. It's an infinite. This was a point I wanted to bring up. Now I do get the white mana here, so I get to play Feather, which is really nice. I leave myself open for a little boost in case he tries to lava coil it. Now he plays Improbable Alliance, which is cool, and then he tries to return this to my hand. I let him return it. No big deal. So what I do is I decide to play Feather again having to leave only 1 red open. But yeah, he's playing an Niv-Mizzet deck. Almost everyone's playing a Niv-Mizzet deck, and my logic for that is when you go to MTG Goldfish and type in Brawl metagame, it's the first thing. Alright, it's the first deck. The Niv-Mizzet deck is the first deck. So that's probably why everyone's playing it. So I expect once the format starts going and people start building more decks, Niv-Mizzet might not be the most popular deck anymore. I think it's interesting, but you just, I don't think he gets out his commander this entire game, versus I get my commander at turn 3, which is such a big deal. Now, he does get a 6/6, which is terrifying for this deck. That's a lot of thing. But then I top deck a Glass Casket, which is the perfect counter to his 6/6. It goes away, and now I am looking awesome. So what I do is I Defiant Strike, as you can see here. I'm using it over other white boosts, which maybe deal more damage. But I'm doing it so that I draw the cards, because you'll notice it says draw card. And so he bounces Feather back to hand, which is quite annoying. But it... as you can see, the Defiant Strike returns to hand, so it's basically a plus a 1-cost draw card in white, which is really awesome. And so he gets out a 4/4, which is obnoxious. And, sorry about that. He gets out a 4/4, which is obnoxious. And Feather the Redeemed ends up on the battlefield again. And I don't have any white to protect it, because I have this portal card, which allows me to basically flicker it. But since it's targeting my creature, I get the card back. So I can basically keep infinitely flickering. But luckily, he doesn't have removal, and instead plays a weird and a draw spell, which allows him to then create a fairy. Now, what he does is he attacks with Sarkhan, and I thought he'd be smarter than that. I'm a boost deck. That's obviously what Feather does. It's not like he can see cards in my hand, so I get to just kill a Sarkhan for free. I cast this to boost it. Now, that one creature, by the way, that I'm casting everything on, it is so powerful. He gets a +1/+1 counter, and I get to scry every time I target him, so he's a perfect fit for this deck. And you'll notice I left enough mana open to cast the portal. Now, he casts the spell knowing he's defeated, and we move on to the last and final game for this video. Now, this game, I am showing you the power of a card called God's Willing. So, we'll see, this game is the longest of the games, and it's to show you how the game... I just want to show... I tried to pick... So normally I just show you the first 3 games I play, but that's not fun. I want to show you how the deck is meant to work and the different ways it works. In the first game, I showed you just a typical game. I guess the second game was pretty typical too, but I was showing you one where I got to use more boosts as like ambush and killing, and so this one you get to see me act a lot more defensive with my spell. So you'll notice I have God's Willing, Shepherd of the Flock, and the Portal, which are all super highly defensive cards. So I played Feather. Now I thought about waiting to get another mana so I can protect him, but I figure he's playing blue-green. He can't fight it. I don't know what he's going to be able to do. So I was fine with it. Well, he's not playing blue-green, but he only has blue-green on the battlefield. Now, I do get that, and I get to play a 2/2 with haste. And so we attack, and he sacrifices his 1/1. And I'm leaving 1 white mana open. Now, you'll notice he has Questing Beast, which, unfortunately, I can't do anything about, so I take damage. But what I do is I kill the Questing Beast with Justice Strike and leave 2 mana open. Now, what ends up happening is Temple of Mystery. He does all this stuff. And he tries to kill my 2/2. Now, what I can do is I can make him have protection from green. I get to scry 1, so it basically does nothing, and then I get the card back in my hand. Then I get rid of the Hydra, because all Hydras can be killed by the Cassia, or at least all... because their CMC is only 2 on the battlefield, so they can all be targeted by caskets. Now, he plays his Commander, which I have no way of dealing with currently. So what do? I play my Legion Warboss, and I attack with everything. And so I realized that's a mistake, playing the Legion Warboss, because it basically just lets him heal 3 every time I attack. And then what happens is he tries to kill my Feather, but I make him immune. Then he kills my Legion Warboss, and yeah. Now, that's one of the issues with God's Willing. If they have another color to attack it with, they can still kill it. Doesn't make me basically invincible, and they can respond to it on the stack. But what I can do here is I can make Feather immune to green, so he doesn't take damage. Therefore, he doesn't gain life. So you'll notice this happens a lot. I don't know if he's just not getting it, or like what's happening, because he keeps attacking with Yarick, even though he knows exactly what I'm going to do. I don't know if he thinks it's like I only have so many of them, but I'm just going to keep doing this. Now, I guess it could be that if I pick the wrong color, he could murder it, but I look at his open mana and figure out what's most likely that he's going to cast. And what's happening here is I'm slowly chipping away with him with a 2/2, and this felt like forever. It felt like, oh my god, this guy's never going to die. But eventually, eventually he is. And so I keep doing this. It doesn't matter. And so I protect him from black because he has a black mana open, and I figure that's the card that's most likely to be able to kill him. Because if he can fight it, well, if I have protection from the thing, it doesn't matter. Now, I make a mistake here, but this Gird for Battle is a very powerful card. It lets me basically put a counter on each of my creatures each turn. And that's pretty awesome, especially because it keeps coming back. But I didn't realize it was sorcery. I thought it was an instant. If it was an instant, that would be amazing. But why this is important is now my creatures are starting to be able to get bigger. So here, not this turn, but next turn, my Feather will be big enough to kill his Yarick. That as well, by the way, I also am almost threatening lethal if I pull a boost spell. Actually, am I threatening lethal? I think I would have been if he didn't kill it, but now I have 8. If I wouldn't have had to flicker him, I would have been threatening lethal. I guess he has a 5/5, which I didn't think about, but Now, this is a really awesome Yarick spell thing with Yarick is a very powerful little combo there. So that's something I might be looking at doing. I'm looking at doing a video where I take all of the 3-color legendaries from Core Set 2020 and turning them into a deck. Well, either way, let me get back into this game. I pull that to exile his only blocker, and I swing at him, just barely beating him. So that was an awesome game. I love the Feather deck. It lets you basically just cheat and just keep recasting spells. The whole idea of spells is that they're one-time use, but with Feather you can use them over and over again. It's really fun. I'll leave my deck list in the description down below. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, hit that like button, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.